Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the Shiny Raiko channel. Now today I'm going to come through with my Odd Eyes Guardragon deck profile for everyone, which I thought was the best pendulum deck. Notice I used the word thought because I thought it was going to be really good. It still is good. I think the deck is actually great. It's just that the way how the meta is right now, you don't get away with things that you should get away with under normal circumstances. Um, the problem that I have with the deck is that two things. One, unlike Endymion, where you didn't need to pendulum someone to go through opponent's board, this does require for you to pendulum someone. And two, the second reason is that the deck doesn't hold up very well against multiple hand traps in one turn. If your opponent hand traps you once, you will still go off. If they hand trap you twice, it's not looking so good, but three times in one turn it's a judgment, and your deck still loses out to Nibiru, which is a struggle with all pendulum decks because there's no solid way for you to go around Nibiru. I don't really see why so many cards should be legal against you, especially Nibiru. I think I'm in one of the highest contestant in wanting that card banned, or at least limited to one. Not where every single time my opponent goes second, they should have it automatically. That's just not fair. Moving on. Out of life struggles. I went to a tournament yesterday. It was a very small tournament. Shout outs to Royal because it's his tournament, and it's when you support your friend's own tournaments, it's always good. So I'm really glad to support his tournament, even though it wasn't a really big one. But yeah, the matchups were fine. I played some awkward decks. I didn't play any tier one. No, like I played one tier one deck, but that's it. I won the whole event, and it was a money tournament, so I won cash. Anyways, moving on. So first up, we have triple Arc Pendulum Dragon. It's a card that makes it at the deck because it's a floatal, makes everything float. And then you have, of course, your Mirage Dragon. Mirage Dragon is extremely important because it's your only odd-eyes monster that can be normal summon, and it's a dragon, so you can facilitate your Guardragon combos. Persona Dragon at 2. You don't need to play 3. The difficulty you're having why you don't play 3 is that straight up your opponent may not be playing a deck that will use their extra deck. So you'll be losing out. So if you play against dinosaurs, this just doesn't do anything. So straight up, it's not the card to be. I'm going to make changes to the deck, and I'm going to show you the changes that I'm going to make. But that's it for the Odd Eyes engine. Don't play the original Odd Eyes. You definitely don't need it. It will not help you. Moving on. 2 Endymion, 1 Jackal King. Might bump that up to 2. Really, seriously contemplating it. It's so crucial, and it's always good when I find it. It stops so many Nibiru. It's just a beast overall. Then you have Servant the God card. She doesn't need an explanation. And Magical Abductor, your reinforcement of the army for the entire deck. It's always good to see Abductor. And that rounds it up for all of your spell counter engine for the deck. I'm advising you that you should play 2 Endymions. I've been in tournaments previously where I played triple Spell Power of Master, which everyone does play. And I chose to play 1 Endymion and 1 Jackal King and 1 Servant. Now what happened is that I drew the Mastery along with the Endymion and the Jackal King. So you know there's only Servant left in the deck with nothing else to summon other than Abductor. And it really came down to where I just kept on top. I was in a demanding position because I built my board naturally. But after the first turn, I drew the next mastery. Turn after that, I drew the third mastery. And they couldn't activate. They were completely dead. And my opponent just went mad on me. So I ended up losing. Not because I played bad or anything. I just didn't have the card in the deck. Because I didn't think I would really need them until I bricked. Which I did brick. I brick often. Under situations that you shouldn't break. But that's just me. That's just how life is. Moving on, we're going to the Guardragon part of the deck. So first up, you play 2 Dark Worm and the Gate 0. Now, Dark Worm is a turbo card, but it's technically not a turbo card. What you need to actually see is the cards that send Dark Worm to the grave. Otherwise, it's not an extender. It directly isn't an extender. It's the cards that sends it to the extender. And then, of course, we have triple B Rabbit. He's the 1 card, 6 negate board, walking machine by himself. And the difficulty I was having, like, person's main deck 3 impermanence, like, it hardly went through. It drew out a lot of hand traps. Veiler, Impermanence, Ash. And sadly, Ash doesn't negate activation because there are a lot of times I had the second rabbit in hand. But when a person's who Impermanence and Veil it, I have to resort to my Pendulum summon and get it out, and then I'll just go like a mad lad again. Now, the board does, it pushes out a lot of negates, really easy, facilitates a lot of board presence. So I was giving my opponents headaches. Is the mere fact that, okay, even if they Veil the first rabbit, I just Pendulum summon the next one, go for these two, make Hieratic Seal, and Hieratic Seal is a 2 card. Because it's going to summon an Odd Eyes. And when I summon the Odd Eyes, because I normally, naturally, always have Arc Pendulum Dragon in skill, because you play like 9 search cards for it. When I summon this, it negates the monster. They destroy it, I summon the next one. So you'll have multiple negates. So really, it's very deceiving. They may be looking at 1 card that negates, but it leads into like 3. Then we play, of course, Amorphous Sloth, Beast, Absolute Monster, Galactic Spiral Dragon. I don't really use it for its effect to change the monster level and exceed. I don't do that anymore. I just use it to facilitate as a dark monster, just to go into Rusty. And because you always have to find it through the combo, it's that much better. Then you have Rocket Tracer and Silver Rocket. It's just an instant barrel. It's a free negate just like that. And we have 1 Silent Boost as our only non-pendulum monster that's not a Guardragon. I'll just play the 1 because I don't really need to see all of the engine. I just need to see the 1 trap card. Drawing it is not really that bad because you can always just summon it. But remember that Abductor will most likely be in scale, so you don't actually pendulum summon it a lot. So that's why I don't play the full engine, because I know there's majority of situations I won't be summoning them any at all because I can't summon them because of their level. So you just have to make up your mind, be like, yo, I'm just going to send these cards. Moving on, spells, 1 Sky Iris, 2 Sky Iris, 1 Ravine, and the Terraforming. Now, a lot of persons get Sky Iris effect wrong. Everyone knows what Ravine does. It's a foolish burn for your dragons. But Sky Iris, persons misunderstand. They mix it up for the True Draco field spell. Now, Sky Iris does not pop a card in your hand. It does not pop a card on the field. It pops a face-up card on the field. Now, that might not sound important now, but when you open up 3 field spells, you auto lose if your card is not able to be face up on the field for it to be popped. Example, you draw a spell card like Duelist Alliance. This can't activate because there's no card that you're going to be able to pop. So you might think playing a lot is going to help you. Do not do that. Better you play the Terraforming to search for it, but it can cause you to brick. Now, the fun fact is that once you find Abductor with Iris, you'll always get the search. Fun fact. So it's a free router once you find Abductor with it. Moving on. Then we have triple Duelist Alliance. Search card for every card in Pendulum in its name. You can search for your Odd Eyes as your high scale. If you need a low scale that badly, you can go for your True Draco. Draco Slayer. Then we have triple Spell Power of Mastery. Really good card. Searches for any of your Endymions. Now, if you have the Endymions on the field, it's even better. And most persons don't really know to use the Endymions and abuse them. What you do, if you don't have Servant, search for it. Or if you don't have a high scale, search for it. The fun fact is that once you get the Servant, if you get the 3 counters on it, you just summon it, use Iris, pop it, put it back in scale so that you have the scale live again, and you can summon a next monster from your deck next turn. Then we have 2 Spiral Flame. I opted not to play 3 because there's only 1 card I can search for, but the thing is with this is that it can pop a card on the field, which did come up very often, where you just had to pin down a card and destroy it. Now, Ruling's Time. The card cannot be ashed. If you're choosing to destroy a card on the field, your opponent cannot ash this, because you choose upon activation. Next fun fact with Servant of Endymion. I forgot to mention this earlier, but the ruling update is now that if your opponent ashes it, you can do it again in the same turn. Which is good. Which is what it should have been initially, and they changed it. So it's back to that ruling right now. So if your opponent ashes it, you can do it again. Then we play 2 Shrine, 1 Foolish Burial. Good stuff. Absolute beast. And that's it for your spells. And your only traps are 2 Fogblade. That's it. One change I would definitely have made that I said I didn't realize throughout the tournament. I would have played triple World Legacy Guardragon. I would have played all 3 of mine if I knew the deck was going to be that way. Because the amount of hand traps that kept activating on me just was unrealistic. You need to find as much extenders as possible. And with the World Legacy, the build up of the new board, like when you play through it, is just unrealistic. Moving on. For the extra deck, we play 1 Vortex, naturally. 1 Savage, and that's our only fusion and synchro. For the XCs, we play Big Eye. I didn't use it any at all. Annihilation, I did use it. Now, fun fact, for the Rabbit combo, the negates that I build up the boards with, you end up with exactly 5 Dark Monsters, so you can actually just overlay this over a monster and pop a card. Most person didn't notice, but I did know. Then you have Absolute to summon your Vortex, and this is an Odd-Eyes deck, so it does other stuff if you need it. And time to go into your links, so it's the Guardragon time. Piston LP, the Lingerous Dragon, which is an absolute monster with a deck, because the flow of it just coming back being a dark monster is just way too good. Spheres, Romulus. Self-explanatory. Triple Burst, naturally have to play this. Then we have IP, Rusty, Apollosa, and Boral Sword. These are all self-explanatory. I don't think I need to say anything about these. The deck performance was really good. The problem that I have is with the consistency, which it does what it does. Because majority of times, it's just Yu-Gi-Oh! Your opponent finds all the answers in the world, and I'm just not interested in that. I just want to play right through that. Alright guys, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'm out. If you have any ideas like you want to tell me about the deck, you can tell me. I'm more than willing to listen. However, I don't think I'll be playing this deck going forward. I think I'm going to play Magicians. I'll most likely play Magician Guardragon because I prefer that over any other engine right now, and especially that I don't like playing one deck that's linear that everyone has, because your opponent may side a card just for another person who plays the same deck as you, and you catch them at a tournament and they just have cards just for you because you and that person were playing the same deck. So just to avoid those situations, I like to play something unique. I don't know if that's just a me trait or other persons do that, but that's definitely me. You can definitely say anything down in the comments. I always respond if I'm able to. Work has me away right now. But that's it, guys. I'm out. Have a great day.